Let's face it, Mother's Day is a complicated bit of business. For some, it's the highlight reel. Handmade cards with questionable spelling, flowers at church, and maybe, if the stars align and the Lord is feeling particularly merciful, a cup of coffee that you actually finish while it's still hot. But for others, the day carries a different kind of weight. Maybe you're missing your mom today. Maybe your relationship with her is more complicated than Hallmark card. Maybe you're grieving a child, or the child you've longed for hasn't come yet. Or maybe you're the mom, and while you love those kids to death, you're tired in a way that a Sunday brunch just isn't going to fix. I think a lot of that exhaustion comes from the impossible job description we've handed mothers. Today, a mom is expected to work like she doesn't have kids, parent like she doesn't have a job, and keep a home that looks like it was staged for a magazine and cleaned by literal angels. And then there's the digital discipleship. You open TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or Pinterest or whatever app is discipling us today. And suddenly, to be a good mom, you need to be doing sensory bends, baking sourdough from a 100-year-old starter, and apparently buying a cow. Look, if you have a cow and are milking it, God bless you. If you're great with sourdough or whatever else they're telling you to do, well, bring me some, but I'm happy for you, truly. But when all those good things become a law you feel forced to keep, they become a burden Jesus never intended you to carry. That's what we're diving into today. Not to give you one more thing to do, but to remind you that Jesus isn't measuring your motherhood by what you post. He sees the hidden faithfulness. And hidden does not mean insignificant. Welcome to Grace in the Grind, brought to you by Arrow and Roots Coffee Company, where faith meets the everyday. Here we take time to notice God's presence in the middle of life's busiest moments, to find encouragement, clarity, and a reminder of His grace right in the grind of daily life. So grab your coffee and let's take a sip of this cup together. And before we go any further, let me pause for just a second and tell you what's brewed today. Today is Coffee Date from Arrow and Roots Coffee Company, brewed in an AeroPress. I like it this way because it's quick, smooth, and honestly hard to beat, which matters this morning because it's Mother's Day, and I need to get back upstairs to help Christy get the kids ready for church before she ends up doing everything herself. And that fits today's episode, because honoring moms is not just something we say into a microphone. Sometimes it looks like putting the coffee down, heading upstairs, finding the tiny shoes, buttoning the tiny shirt, and making sure mom doesn't have to carry the whole morning alone. Today is for motherhood we don't post about. The kind that happens behind the scenes when the lights are off and the filters are gone. I want to be clear. This isn't an episode about whether moms should work or stay home. Families are different. Finances are different. The point is to name the tension you're already feeling. Our guide today is Luke 10, where Jesus talks to Martha. She was doing good things, but she was doing them with a heart that was, as Jesus put it, anxious and troubled. You know the story. Jesus is at Martha's house. Mary is sitting at his feet, listening. Martha, meanwhile, is in the kitchen, absolutely redlining it. She's distracted with much serving. Finally, she snaps. She looks at Jesus and says, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone?" That's such a human moment. It's not that Martha was lazy. She was working. She was trying to make everything perfect. And Jesus responds with such tenderness. "Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things." That phrase, anxious and troubled about many things, could be substituted for modern motherhood. Martha's problem wasn't that she cared, it was that her care had become crowded with anxiety. And Jesus meets her there, not with a performance review, but with an invitation. Christy and I eventually made a decision for our family to live on one income so she could be home with our boys. It's been a blessing, but it's come with real cost and tight math. But here's the thing I want you to sit in for just a second. That was our conviction. It doesn't mean it's the law for every family. There are a million good things you can spend your life on. It is a good thing to have a career that impacts the world. It's a good thing to be home and present for every milestone. It's a good thing to volunteer, to bake, to garden, to lead a Bible study. But we are not all called to do all the good things. And we are certainly not called to prioritize them equally. If you try to make everything a priority one, you don't have a mission. You just have a headache. Faithfulness isn't about doing every good thing you see someone else doing on the internet. It's about doing the specific things God has put in your hands for this season. Our culture has turned motherhood into a brand. It used to be that if you had a rough day, only the people in your house knew. Now, you have a rough day and then scroll through photos of families who seem to be thriving in ways you aren't. But Scripture doesn't call you to be impressive. It calls you to be faithful. Faithfulness looks like apologizing when you lost your temper. It looks like praying when you're at your wit's end. It looks like making dinner again or going to work because your family needs that provision. Motherhood isn't a performance. It's faithful love in ordinary places. To every mom listening, Jesus sees what the algorithm misses. He sees the work that never gets a like. He sees the single mom doing the job of two, and the grieving mom just trying to breathe. He isn't standing over you with a checklist. He's saying, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Your limits aren't a failure. They're a reminder that you're human. You aren't called to be everywhere or do everything. You're called to follow Jesus with what He, not Pinterest, has actually entrusted you to. Here's your homework. Name one good thing you've been doing that Jesus never actually asked you to carry. Maybe it's a commitment that's draining your soul, or a standard of perfection that's stealing your joy. Name it and ask, "Lord, did you ask me to prioritize this right now?" If He didn't, lay it down. Motherhood is too important to be buried under, quote, good things that aren't your things. And before we move forward here, I want to thank the moms in my life. My mom gave up a career to come home and to spend time with us. It was a hard decision for her. I've had other moms in my life that have made sacrifices and just poured into my life. And I want to be thankful for Christy, my wife, who is pouring into our kids, and I know the sacrifices she makes to do that. If you're a mother out there today, we love you, we appreciate you, and we see you. And now, if you want to support this show, grab a bag of coffee from Aaron Roots Coffee Company. And honestly, if you know a mom, buy her a bag and tell her to drink it while it's still hot. That's basically a spiritual gift. To the moms, again, thank you for the hidden work and the quiet sacrifices. If today is hard for you, know that God is near to the brokenhearted. If this encouraged you, send it to a mom who's been caring more than anyone knows. Leave a review, follow the show, and keep walking with grace in the grind. And remember, the motherhood you don't post about still matters deeply to God. Thank you for listening to Grace in the Grind, where we keep the coffee strong and our faith stronger. And today, we honor mothers. We honor motherhood. And that doesn't need to be filtered to be beautiful. To the moms in the trenches doing the quiet, unglamorous work, You aren't just getting by, you're being faithful, and God hasn't missed a single second of it.